Welcome to Thinking Tackle. I'm Simon Scott, and for this episode we come to the beautiful county of Dorset. Now, believe it or not, 52% of Dorset's land area is actually an area of outstanding natural beauty. The scenery here is stunning. Additionally, 2/3 of its coastline is a World Heritage Site. Now, the coastline of Dorset, the Jurassic Coast, is world renowned, but Dorset is also becoming well known for its carp fishing, and we've come to the Todber Manor complex to sample some of that fishing. Todber's got something for every coarse angler, from float fishing lakes stuffed full of beautiful little fish, right through to specimen carp, and they live in this lake, Big Haze. This lake's got fish from £10 to £30, and myself and my great buddy Tom Dove are here to give it a go. Tom's just round the corner. I'm going to see how he's getting on. Hoi, hoi, hoi. Hi Tom, how are you?
Very well, mate, you?
Good, very well. Welcome to Thinking Tackle.
Nice one.
We got here last night, and this is Tom's pitch, and although we're actually set up in here now, we've actually got a plan in place already to move. But as a little bit of a recap, why did you go in here, Tom?
Well, I had a little walk around last night. I did walk around that bay, and I saw one fish in the edge and near the reeds. And to be honest, you know, a couple of the locals had said that that is the plot to be in. But because you know, we're the only two here at the minute, we didn't want to set up down there and end up pushing the fish out and end up sitting out in this open water. So we decided to set away from a little bit, and I'm fishing up against the island and then sort of in a line out towards here. And I was hoping that any fish that are down in that bay are going to come round the corner and
did
stop
they?
and feed on the bay. One.
And it wasn't the biggest one in the lake, was it?
No, it was a little mirror, about £10. Really pretty little thing though. Yeah, it was a nice wake up call at 5 o'clock this morning.
Well done. Well, I went a bit further up the bank. I was fishing in open water, and basically the same thinking as Tom. I was hoping that they were going to push out the bay. I put out a bit of seed and some corn and some hemp, and it all looked pucker for a bite. There was certainly a few fish showing, and nothing over the night. And then I actually had a little barbel this morning, which was a real treat because I'm not a barbel angler. I was delighted to catch that. Tom wasn't so impressed when I called him down to swim. He said, "Look at this beautiful barbel." Never mind. But anyway, as I mentioned, we've got a plan. We're going to head off down there to the bay, which at the moment is now on the back of the wind, which has worried us slightly. I think we're both a little concerned that there's a fresh new breeze blowing down the pond, but we'll give it a go. We'll certainly do a few hours down there and see if we can get our string pulled. And yeah, I think, Tom, get those rods in.
Yeah,
I'm going to get my kit packed up and we'll get moving.
Okay, so me and Simon have come down to that bay that we were talking about earlier. Si's gone into a swim in the corner. He's got a nice reedy corner, and I've opted for a swim that casting over to the far side to the reeds, and I've got a nice island to my right hand side as well. So what I've done first of all, so I don't cast in the reeds, I've clipped up. And by doing that I mean casting the lead with no rig over to the far side, and then taking the line off where I've landed short. So maybe I've landed a rod length short. I'll take that amount of line off, put it under the clip my rig on, and then I'll cast out. And that's exactly what I've done with this rod and the right hand rod. So my middle rod's gone over to the far side, about halfway down them reeds. It's gone extremely tight, I'm really happy with it. And then the right hand rod has gone down this face of the island, about halfway down, about that far away from rushes. So it's looking really good. And because we're not sure whether the there's some loud birds, and because we're not sure whether the wind has pushed the fish down the other end, we're going to go really light with the baiting. So I'm not going to put any boilies out at all. I'm just going to opt for a really light PVA bag like that, some pineapple attractor on the outside, and a small wafter hook bait. Simple stuff, but extremely attractive. So I'm going to just flick it out now and see if we can get one.
Feeling pretty confident now. This is the bay that we talked about earlier on. Moved down here, got the reeds to my left, reeds opposite. There's a swim over there, but there's no one in there. It looks really cock on. The weather's looking good as well. Tom mentioned the wind earlier hacking up the lake. Now it's coming across us, so it's a bit swirly. So yeah, I think it's looking very good. Let me talk you through what I've done with these three rods. Right, starting out on the right-hand rod. This is the first one that I got out. What I've done is I've gone down the bank a little bit and I've cast across to the far side. Across the other side there, you've got this reed bed, then you've got a little grassy patch, then a little clump of tree, little willowy tree, and another patch of grass. So what I've done is I've aimed at the right-hand side of that gap, and I've cast across there. Not with a big lead or anything particularly, not even with a rig on. So literally just using the lead clip, I put a 3-ounce lead on there, and I just fired it across, and I've landed it just to the side of that grassy patch. Perfect. I've then come back to the swim, I put the rod on the rests, and I've tightened up any slack just to make sure I'm in a direct line across the swim, and then I've slackened the clutch right off, so it's easy to pull the line off. I've then taken my little baiting spoon, got in my chest waders, taken a little stick and a few loose boilies, and I've gone round there and I've found the lead, and the lead was lying just in that little clump of stuff to the side of that grassy patch. Perfect cast. Went round there, took off the little lead and put on a much bigger 4.5 ounce lead, a square pair. It's going to grip nicely on the marginal shelf. Put that on, then I put on my little rig, which I'd already pulled through a stick, clipped that on, got it all just right, and then I just picked up the line tight, and obviously I'm pulling across to the rod tip here, and just got myself into position, and then just to the right of that spot there's a little tiny poke hole. I slipped into the water there, put the rig in the spoon, and I worked my way along the front of that reed face. Now, here at this fishery, I know that it's okay to wade. I've checked it with the guys in the shop, and they said if you want to wade, Simon, that's fine. Obviously, if you're inexperienced at wading, you should always have someone about. In the case here, we've got the crew here, and I guess, although they might like to see me drown, it wouldn't be right to let it happen on a shoot. So, you know, always make sure if you are going to wade, there's someone about. And I spent a lot of my life in a pair of chest waders. I'm a fish farmer, so I'm kind of used to the feel of walking underwater, but if you're inexperienced, be cautious. Anyway, I crept along that reed fringe. Now, there's a couple of spots there where it tucks back real tight, and I thought I could feel with my feet that the reeds go down to the bottom of the pond, and then there's just a lovely clay slope right up against the base of those reeds, and that is the honey spot. So I got to a spot I liked with the rig in the little scoop, shipped it out, and holding the line in my right hand and the spoon in my left hand, I shipped that out so I'm holding the line tight to the spoon, hold my arm out, and when I'm happy that the rig is tight against those reeds, I just gently tip that lead out. And of course then the lead is sunk to the bottom of the pond, followed by the stick, which will have settled on the bottom beside it. And because I've held the line out here, it's not running at 90 degrees to the rig, it's running away from the rig. Once I've done that, got back out of my little spot, got the spoon out of the way, got a few boilies and plopped them over the top of the rig, and then I've walked back round here and come into the swim. I then tighten the line up across the swim, right across this bay to that lead. So obviously as I've gone in, I've had a little bit of a dog leg in that line. I had to pull that nice and tight. Not so tight that I was going to move that lead off the shelf, because I know I'm fishing on a bit of a clay slope, but just tight enough to get a direct line across from the rod tip to the rig. So with that out there, bobbing on, fishing with it relatively tight, because I don't want to fish powering into those reeds, and the bobbing up quite high and the sensitivity on high. So that's the right hand rod done. Okay, with the other two rods, so these two, I'm fishing down to the left. So you've got the reed line that I've mentioned, then the gaps that I've cast across to, and then you've got the reed line that effectively makes the end of the lake. And there is no swim from there all the way around to where I'm sat now. So I think the fish have got a lovely bit of sanctuary up in that Phragmites at the end of the lake. Now, in my experience as a fish farmer and netsman, I know that reed beds like that go back a long way, and on a day like today, those fish could be sitting up maybe 2 or 3 metres back into the reed. So I want to present my baits nice and tight. So what I've done with both of these rods is I've gone along the bank, I've climbed down into the water again with great caution, getting in, making sure that I've got a secure foothold before I take my next step. And then I've just flicked one about 15 or 20 metres up that far side of that reed line, and then this left-hand one is right in the corner. In both cases I've had little sticks on them with balanced hook baits, and then just plopped a few boilies out over the top. The guys in the shop, as we've mentioned, have given us a bit of help, and so I wanted to take their advice and put a few boilies over the top. So that's what I've done. So the traps are set, time to get out the chest waders, sit back, have a cup of tea, and fingers crossed we get a bite. You got one, Tom?
Yeah, mate.
Well done.
Middle rod, I've had to... Oh, do you know
Middle
what?
rod.
They fight hard, didn't they? It's taking me on a right old merry old dance.
Where's he now? God, he's right down here.
It's trying to go around them reeds.
He's looking for me. I was in the water just then. Talk me through, what was the rig?
The rig is just simple, same as anything, mate. Little helicopter rig,
yeah,
with a knotless knot. And I'm trying to think what hook bait this is.
That's the thing, you've been...
I think it's more the weather, mate, though, that's made a difference. It's just started to look good.
Cock on all of a sudden, isn't it? I think we've both been thinking.
I think it might be really handy that you're in your waders, Si.
Oh, you want me to go in, don't you?
Really?
Tom Dove, the dove from above has spoken. Would you like me to go and rescue
One second, he's just come in.
Don't lose it.
Come on, lad. That's all right, he's out.
Kicked up some nice water there, looks all right. Come on. Certainly scrapping well, isn't he?
Yeah, I don't want to give it too much because I'll be distraught if I lose him.
When you've tried, the reward of getting the fish in is much bigger, isn't it?
Ooh.
Good old fish.
Yeah. Come on. Yeah, well done, Si.
Well done, sir. Yo! That'll do. Well done, Tom. That's got to be twice the size of the last one, old man.
I know, mate. Completely different strain of fish in it compared to the one this morning.
The one this morning a bit scaly. This one's obviously spawned out, but a real high back, dumpy looking mirror.
Yeah, you can imagine it was a proper chunk, probably.
Yeah, I
a month
reckon
or so
she would
ago.
have been pushing near towards 20 with a big gut on her, but...
What are you going to give me now, then?
Well, probably a little bit smaller than my barbel, so £6.
I reckon about £16.
Well done, and that was, we had a bit of advice, didn't we, from the shop about putting a few baits over that spot, and did you do that?
Yeah, I mean, I just fished bags first of all. I didn't want to commit to too much bait, like I said earlier, but yeah, 20 or 30 baits wasn't too much, and they said to do it, went round and done it, and had a bite about 20 minutes later, so...
Well done, well I reckon you should get her back in the pond and get that rod back out there and let's have another one.
Yeah, mate, definitely.
Well done.
Okay, so now I've found a spot that I'm definitely getting bites from. I know I'm going to want to cast back to the spot, so clipping up is the most important thing in getting that right. And to help me with that, what I do is I get some marker elastic and I mark my line halfway up my rod. So next time I cast out, I don't need to cast back to the spot and disturb the area again. All I need to do is cast away from the spot, get the marker elastic in the same position and put it in the clip and cast back out. So what I do is, get a bit of the marker elastic, and you tie in sort of a grinner around the main line. So it's make a loop, put it in line with your main line there, go through once, excuse my hair in the way, go through twice, 3, I'll go through 4 times, and wet it just like you would every other knot. So it beds down nice and easy like that. Sometimes it snaps if you pull it too much. Like so it's not going to slide up and down. And then it's in line with the spigot like that, so I know when I recast. Don't need to cut it too short, so you can see it in the dark. Voila, easy for next time.
Oh yeah, another one, Mr. Dove.
Starting to happen over there now.
Which rod is that, the same spot?
No, right, I had one right next to them lilies before.
Yep.
And I hadn't had any action, and that was 2 bites and a little occurrence I'd had off them reeds.
Yep.
So I thought I'd move the left-hand rod to see if I can find a different spot.
Right.
So I've gone a little bit further to the left, and it's sort of like a sunken tree.
Yeah, I see.
And I've literally just clipped it up, put some marker tape on, and or elastic even, got it under there, put the bobbin on, and it went straight away.
Oh, well done. So that tree that's hanging down like that, you think there's probably fish sat right up underneath that this afternoon?
Quite possibly, yeah.
Quite warm now, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'm sure we agreed that the lilies were the demarcation in my water, but that's fine, Tom. You know. No.
You won't use it to any effect, will you?
You wipe the floor with me and also fish in my swim. That's cool. No, well done. And what setup was that on?
Exactly the same, just a little helicopter setup, knotless knot, sort of semi-stiff hook link, and a little pineapple goo bottom bait. I'd had an orange bottom bait on this as well. When I changed it to the yellow one, I'd had the bites on the other side. Ooh. And
so these fish, for the viewers' benefit, Tom, it's trying to get in these reeds. How would you deal with a fish that's trying to get in the reeds like that?
Try and pull it away.
Obviously. Yeah.
No,
is there anything you suggest to the
just,
guys watching at home that might not have experienced a better reeds right across the side
yeah,
of the swim?
just try and get the best angle you can on it, you know.
So you're keeping the tip down, is that important?
Yeah, whatever way you're pulling, the fish are going to go opposite. So really, you want to be pulling in this direction, not this direction.
Yeah. Okay.
So they can kite away.
And they're keeping the tip down. Why are you sinking the tip like that? Because that looks a bit bizarre if you're not familiar with that technique.
I'm actually doing that because my right-hand rod is just out of shot. Right. The line's going across there, so I'm making sure it doesn't get that out of the way.
And hopefully get that fish back through under the line and also out those reeds.
That's it, and there we have, I think.
I think you've done that very, very effectively. Perfect, well done. Huge great pressure and I'm chatting about it and you're being filmed doing it. Yeah, I'm trying to do it so I don't get caught up in the reeds. in it goes.
I think it's really key to keep busy on places like this. There's always a chance to be had. We was talking about it earlier, weren't we?
If you just sit on your back, on your hands, I think that you can just let time tick by. It's almost worth retrying, try something new, try like you did there, a fresh spot, and that's produced a bite instantly.
Yeah. Hopefully now I've got 2 spots that produce bites, and that's the way to a successful trip, isn't it? Keep moving them about until you find somewhere that you're happy with, and leave that rod there.
Once it's ticking over, and now you're getting you're particularly getting the system how much bait to put in for a bite, and
exactly.
Ticking along nicely. Well done. So another spirited fight. They do scrap well in here, don't they?
They really do.
Okay, and are you doing anything different with your bobbin setup for the viewers that haven't maybe fished like that up against the margin?
Oh, need to come in. Yeah, I'm fishing them slightly tighter than I normally would. Definitely not fishing a back lead.
You're not fishing back leads?
No,
okay.
because I'm fishing against the far margin. I just want the best indication I can.
And the bobbins are up tight to the blank?
Yeah, they're not slammed up tight, just in case they do pull and you not get great indication, but sort of half down with a semi-slack line, and you seem to get the best indication like that.
And your bobbins are dropping, are they, on the takes?
Yeah.
Every time? So they're not... You might think they're going to charge into the reeds or the lilies. They're coming away from that.
Directly away from me. You get a slack line. The bobbin hits the deck, and you've got to make sure you just tighten down the clutch quickly and walk back.
Yeah. Well done. Lovely fish.
I'm pleased with that, Si.
Spot on. Okay, well, guys, as you can see, I'm acting as Tom Dove's gilly. I've got his fish in the net, and he's getting that rod straight back out. So this is a man that's now in the zone. He's got 2 spots that are rocking over the far bank there, and rather than wait until we've got this fish out and photographed it and done a little piece to camera, keen to get that bait straight back out, and that's a really good tip. If you've got a spot that's going well, make sure you make the most of every moment. Yet again, an amazing cast. So you see how he used the clip there, hit the clip as it went in the water. That cast was no more than 1.5 feet from those reeds. It's pinpoint accurate, very quick and very quiet. Well done, Tom. That's an absolute cracker.
Yeah, he's a nice one, isn't he?
Yeah, lovely long fish, isn't it, that one?
Yeah, really fought hard.
Yeah, nice one. Well done. Well, I better let you get your kit sorted and get your rods back out and fishing.
Yeah.
And as you can see, I'm in my chest waders. I was just getting my rods redone. I'm trying to get them a little bit closer to a bush on that far bank. So, yeah, nice one. Get that fish back in the pond. So different setup or similar setup?
Same setup.
Same setup in terms of rig. What about the bait? 'Cause I know
Yeah, same. Yeah, no, I've got the same baits and same bags and same caramel liquid on the outside as well now. Once I find something that works, I tend to change all the rods over to it.
Yeah.
I always say when you've got all the same on all rods, you know you're fishing confidently. And
yeah.
It's always nice catching carp in the evening.
Yeah, I quite like to experience it.
I'm sure you're going to get one of
Yeah,
these.
I'm sure. I can't believe I haven't. They've been all over me.
That's it. Nice one, Si.
Well done, fella.
Thank you very much. Okay, and here he is, a lovely clean little mirror on the right-hand rod this time. And although we first come down here at the beginning of the day fishing bags, now we realise that there's fish down there, I can start to build on the spot. And that's exactly what we've started to do. I was around there probably 20 minutes ago before this went, put some bait out and ended up having a bite. So I think I'm going to get this one back, put some more bait out, and hopefully I can get some more throughout the night.
Welcome to an absolutely smashing Dorset morning. The sun is shining, the birds are singing, and I am grinning from ear to ear. Look at this chestnut. Woken up at 5 o'clock by a good bite on my right-hand rod, run out the bivvy, bit sleepy, grabbed the rod. Didn't feel quite right on the way in. Would you believe it? I've caught another barbel. About the same size as the other one. Lovely fish, but not quite what I'm here for. I think I might take up barbel fishing. I've obviously got a bit of a knack for it. Anyway, got the rod back out and look at this beautiful common that turned up. Probably an upper double, absolutely mint fish, perfect condition, lovely mouth, big shoulders, beautiful big scales on that. Lovely fish. The only little blemish, interestingly, is on its right peck. There's an otter bite. If I get a chance later, I'd like to talk a little bit about otters and also a bit about otter fencing, but we'll see if I get a chance or not. Anyway, I know Tom's had a bit of a quiet night, but I've got my rods out perfectly. I'm feeling really confident now, so time to get this belter back in the pond and wait for the next one. Oh yes, yes! Hello Tom, good morning sir.
Hello,
Looks like
mate.
you've got one. You've got a dry landing net. Have you not caught a fish in the night?
No, nothing throughout the night. But, maybe they're moving into me on the day.
Yeah, you put a fair bit of bait out last night, didn't you?
Yeah,
But,
I mean, the guy said to not put too much out, and I thought, well, there's lots of fish in here, they'll surely eat it. But it seemed that it did shut them off for a little while. But
Is it a common?
it's a little common, yeah. It's not as nice as your one, but sprightly little fish. Go on. Looks like he's got some spawning scars there.
He's a little male by the look of him. He's bashed up. Oop, oop. Oop, oop, oop.
Come on, lad, go in the net. Nice. Well, a lovely way to start the morning. It looks like it's going to be absolutely boiling today, so it'll be interesting to see if the action carries on. But for now, this one will do for me. I'm just about to get it back.
When I caught that smashing common earlier, I mentioned that unfortunately it had a little bit of damage on its pectoral fin, like a square cut out of the fin. And that was likely to have been caused by an otter. Now the problem with otters in this country is increasing dramatically since they had a low point in their population in the late 1970s through the use of organochlorine pesticides. Well, otter numbers are recovering now, and although that's great from a conservation point of view, it's not good for our fish and our fisheries. Many people are not aware quite how big an otter is. I often have inexperienced people say, oh, I saw an otter, it was this big. An otter is a much bigger animal. It could be as long as 6 foot from the tip of its nose to the end of its tail. If you think about a Labrador on short legs, then you're getting there. And otters don't just eat little fish. It'd be great if they ate just little fish like that and the odd eel, but they don't. The biggest carp that I'm aware of an otter taking in this country is in excess of 50 pounds, and that would be a priceless fish. Now, at this fishery, they've been very proactive. They put up a really good fence. And as you can see here, there's 5 strands of electric wire. The top 2 are there to keep humans out of the way and also livestock. The bottom 3 are the ones that are doing the business. So any otter travelling along here on his little legs is going to come across this fence, and that's going to give him a poke and it's going to deter him coming in.
I've literally just put that little common back. My right hand rod has absolutely steamed off. And it's taking much more line, this one, than all the others. I'm trying to go around the back of the island. This is off the island rod. It wasn't actually as tight as I was having them yesterday. I put a cast out this morning, it went slightly further left. Oh, look at him underneath that tree. But on exactly the same methods, little tiny PVA bag, and it wasn't long since I went around there and put the bait out. I definitely seem to have got on the bait now. Does look a bit of a better fish. It's certainly not one of them little commons that we caught a minute ago. I think there's a few different strains of fish in here. There's the mirrors that are about £10, nice scales and that on them. Then you've got this, I think they're probably Mark Simmons fish, the Simmos, they're slightly larger. And then you've got them little commons. They all fight hard though. It's strange actually, the rods I was getting the most bites on yesterday is the only rod that hasn't done me a bite this morning. So there might be something wrong with that. I'll have a recast. The good thing now is that I've got 3 spots that are definitely working for me, so I can hold hope for the rest of the day. Come on, go in there. As soon as I see that sunlight, they're off again. All right, is this the time? Is it going to go in the net? Yeah, he's slightly bigger. Oh, okay, he's not giving up. So he heard me. Well, this looks like it's ready 3 or 4 times by now, but it keeps going. It's one thing, you know, you wait so long for a bite, don't rush it. Don't try and get it in the net so quickly. Enjoy the fight, get it in when it's ready, and you'll get a lot less losses that way. A lot of people rush it a little bit, try and bull it into the net and end up losing it. Enjoy the fight, and hopefully you'll see this one on the bank. It's going again. It just doesn't know when to give up. Right, this is ready this time. This is ready. I think that is number 8. What I was doing working, and I'm pleased with that one. Well, this is the second of 2 bites in very quick succession. The spots are rocking really well now. I'm really pleased with this one, about 16, 17 pounds.
Well, there we go. Just stood beside my bivvy, and the left-hand rod, which is fished across to that reed bed, absolutely right round, lovely bite. I was fishing with it quite tight, but just enough slack on the clutch it could take a bit of line, and away we go. Oh, it's a lovely mirror. It looks beautiful and scaly. Superb.
That bite was epic, mate.
That was all right, wasn't it?
There, yeah.
What a pleasure, Tom, that you should be coming to my swim with a landing net at last. I'm pleased to see Mr. Dove's got a landing net out for once. Put a few fresh baits out about 2 hours ago just with a catapult. Not many, but sort of mimicking what you've been doing, you know, just another
to get a bite.
30 or 40 in the area just to freshen it up really, because one thing I think we both thought possibly is the fish come through and maybe they clear you out and you don't get a bite, and then you're almost fishing with just a single, so
Almost
maybe
certainly.
freshen it up a bit.
Oh, look
At this fish. Please don't fall off. Gotta enjoy these moments when you get them.
Yeah. That sun is so hot, isn't it?
It's blistering, isn't it? It's so warm.
I had to roll my tracksuit bottoms.
And unlike yesterday, when there was that lovely breeze coming down the lake today, we've really got flat calm. Hardly a cloud in the sky.
Oh, look, that is absolutely lovely, mate.
See that lead's ejected perfectly as well, Tom?
Yeah. A little bit too much.
Yes!
Well done,
Get
mate.
in there.
Well done. That's a corker, mate.
Oh, look at this, Tom. This is an absolute perler. Wow.
God.
Beautiful big plate scales. It's like unwrapping a Christmas present. Okay, get that rig, yeah. One thing that's really important for the viewers watching this at home, before you lift the fish out, if you're going to bring it out in the landing net, is make sure its fins are folded flat. So you see this pectoral fin here, folded flat against the body. Oh, look at this.
Like
Look at those scales. That's a cracking fish. Almost fully scaled.
that is gorgeous, mate.
Hook hole perfect, right in the corner, right on the bottom of its mouth. Lovely jubbly.
Perfect, mate.
And obviously, once you've unhooked your fish, make sure that hook is out the way, because the last thing you want to do is get that in your hand as you're trying to pick the fish up if it kicks. That is a truly magnificent fish. Oh my word.
Mate, well done. Let's put some water on him quickly.
Yeah, you put it all over me too. I'm very happy with that one.
Yeah, well
Look
done,
at
mate.
that beautiful fish. Well, there you go. Look at that. That is a proper belter. Beautiful, beautiful scales. Lovely long flanks, big fins. That is an absolute cracker.
I'll give you £16 as well, sorry.
16? I reckon it was about 21. Well, I tell you what, you caught more than me, but I think I'm doing you on the looks.
I think you have, mate.
I've gone for the heavily scaled one and a common. You're going for those mirrors. Nice one. Beautiful fish. Well, folks, I finally got the rig that's been doing all the damage for Tom. Now, Tom, this is a helicopter setup.
Yeah.
I want you to talk me through the fine details in a moment, but why a helicopter rig?
One, it doesn't tangle, and two, I can cast it pretty much anywhere and have good presentation.
And does that include weed beds?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't fish it in ridiculous weed, like 4 or 5 foot of weed, but yeah, if it's a little bit on the bottom, I'd slide that bead slightly further up the lead core. You know, your hook link's going to slide up, lead's going to go in, and everything will sit on top
So
of the weed.
it's a pretty versatile setup.
Very, yeah.
Okay, and now talk us through the setup at the hook end, because this looks pretty simple, but I know it's not quite as simple as it looks.
Yeah, it is very simple. It's a camo coated hook link with a size 8 hook, knotless knotted 7 turns, and a little wafter on the end there.
Okay, what's a wafter for the guys at home that might not have used a wafter hook bait?
It's a bait that wafts through the water, so it sinks slowly. Just with the weight of the hook, it will just sink slowly, so your bait will kick away from all your
so it's not a pop-up, it does slowly sink, but it just takes the weight of the hook out of the presentation.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay, and at this end then, you've got a little sleeve mechanism here. What's happening?
Yeah, I've got a sleeve over the top of a quick change swivel.
Right.
You can see there. It's
Yeah.
just a,
Oh, I think you're away, Tom.
yes, I am.
That's how good this rig is, folks. Can't even find 5 minutes to tell me about it. Well, there we go, Tom. That is the rig that's definitely doing the business, isn't it?
It works.
So you were saying about that hook link clip mechanism, and
Yeah.
that enables you to change quick. So, you know, now you get this fish in the net, you can unclip it,
Yeah.
get the rod back out. I also noted that there was something different about the way you'd attach to the lead there.
Yeah, that was a little helicopter system that allows me to change the lead really quickly.
Right.
And enables me to drop it if need be as well. I used lead clips for years and years and years and didn't use helicopters because I couldn't lose the lead.
Yeah.
And now you can. And this
so that's-
system allows you to put a little collar in, which I've done now, so the lead doesn't come off. And when you want it to come off, you just take the little collar out and the lead will come off every bite.
Great, so that's, for example, if you're fishing a choddy setup with a big lead and you're casting out a long way, there's no risk of that lead bouncing around the fish's face. It's
Yeah.
gone now. That's
Yeah.
possible. But you're not dropping your lead now, are you?
No,
Is that right?
I'm fishing up against the far bank and I'm locked up. So there's no way that the fish can get in the reeds or up against the far bank in trees or anything.
Right.
So I'm not one to just drop the lead for the sake of it. There's no point in doing that. So yeah, when I need to drop it, I'll make sure I do. But I don't need to in this instance.
No. Well, it's clearly working to great effect.
I was just thinking actually that these weren't sitting right, these rigs, because it had been a while before I'd had a bite.
Yeah, we had a bit of a spell yesterday afternoon when we thought fish were possibly coming off the island and drifting down onto your spots.
Yeah.
And it's possible that now this wind is pumping down here perfect, isn't it? It looks really good for it down here. Maybe now is going to be the next hour or two, could be good times.
Yeah, mate, definitely.
Well done. Well, there you go. Another one falls to Tom Dove and his helicopter rig.
They always come along when you least expecting them. Happy days.
Suddenly it's all happening. I've just lost a fish on the right-hand rod. I had a really big drop back and wound down to it, and the fish had come off the far margin, and I felt one good thump and it was gone, and I was just at the back of the swim cussing my bad luck and feeling pretty downright sorry for myself. And then the left-hand rod absolutely ripped off. It pulled right round, great take off this reed bed opposite, and it's come in quite nice, no dramas. It looks like another common, I think. Great stuff. Tried something a little bit different with this hook bait. I'll show you what it is in a minute. But I'd say it's worked. I haven't had this bait in the water very long. See this fish as it's coming in, it's dropped the lead, which is perfect. I've had incidents against reed beds like this where the fish get in the reeds and you don't really want that lead swinging about because it can catch on a reed stem just if the fish gets its head into the edge of the reed. So quite like fishing a drop-off lead, and as you'll see when that fish comes up, the lead's discharged, got out of the way, so I'm fishing with a nice direct line straight through to the fish's mouth. Perfect. Smashing little common, this one. Built like an absolute torpedo. It fought hard as well. Lovely one. Very chuffed to get another one. Well, here's a little extra tip you could try that might buy you a quick bite, and it certainly worked for me with that last fish. Rather than just coating my little balanced hook bait with a liquid attractor, I'm also injecting it there into my little tail rubber. Look at this for sneaky. Squeeze it down in there and it fills up the whole of that tail rubber, and you can see it oozing out at either the top and the bottom end, and then just push that tail rubber up into position. Perfect. So you've got a little cylinder full of a liquid attractor, and when that smashes into the surface on that far reed bank, it's taking that attractor right to the bottom and it's going to cloud up around the rig, which is a pretty basic setup really. Simple balanced hook bait, size 8 hook, short braided hook link and a lead clip system. So if that fish gets anywhere near the reeds and hits a stem or two, the lead ejects. There we go, something for you to try if you're out on a water like this, and it might just buy you a quick bite.
Well, Simon's been catching all the pretty ones and I'm pleased to get on his action now. Look at that, what an absolute cracker. I am over the moon with that one.
Get in there. What a great way to go into the evening. Last few minutes I've been watching fish showing over the baited area. Heart's been beating 10 to the dozen, and then away went that right hand rod. Lovely job. Well, there we go. That's why I go carp fishing. I'm still addicted to runs. After about 30 years of this game, I absolutely love it. Not quite caught up Mr. Dove next door, but at least I'm up and running and catching a few now. Hopefully I'll have had a few more by the morning. See you then.
Well, good morning. It's another bright and sunny one. Last night was pretty quiet again actually. It seems to be the nights are quieter than when the sun's out. I had a bite about half an hour ago on this same rod actually. I've got the fish in the net down there. I've recast and had another bite. Which is quite nice, get a nice sleep at night and to be woke up by a couple of nice fish. Oh, I can hear Simon. He might have a bite at the same time. Yeah, it might be the biggest of the trip. In the net with the other one. Great way to start the morning.
So exciting. I've been sat here watching the reeds down on my left-hand side there, banging about. I've just been knocking and knocking. I was thinking that's exactly on the bait. I thought there has to be a few fish down there. And with that, the left-hand rod ripped round. Lovely to see the bend. I have everything pretty much locked up because I'm fishing against those reeds over there. And great, great scrap right on the edge of the reeds. And we've got one on. I've heard Tom's buzzers going this morning, so I think he's been a bit busy. It was quiet overnight. It was really interesting. Loads of fish here yesterday evening. It was just incredible. There were fish showing everywhere. I had one, lost one, a bit of activity, and then they've pushed out of the bay, and I think they're starting to come back in now. I've seen one fish just show out in the middle of the bay maybe 10 minutes ago, and then the reeds started knocking. So in a fishery like this, I think there are big groups of fish going around, mob-handed, and they come in and smash out on your spot, take away all the bait, and clear you out, and then they're off again. And I think we've had a group come through. I guess Tom's had a couple of bites. Don't know if he's landed those fish or not, but they've obviously come through and got on my bait by that reed bed. Exciting stuff. Lovely to be playing one at this time of the day. Perfect. What a great way to start the day. Well, there you go. Another perfect Dorset morning and another perfect Dorset carp. Really happy to see another one in my landing net. And I see Tom's doing something on the bank now. Another fish.
Well, here he is, the second of the two, the one you saw me playing earlier. The first one was about £12, a lovely scaly little mirror, and this one probably about £15. The sun's getting higher in the sky now and we haven't got long left here, but it'd be nice if we could just nick one more before we go.
Wow, what a run. I've been sitting in my bivvy, absolutely cooking for about 20 minutes, thinking we're inside the last hour of the show now. Desperately coming up with some sort of a plan to get a bite. Nothing's been happening. I took about 30 paces towards Tom's swim to say, Tom, what we're going to do, we need to get a bite to close this show, and it absolutely rattled off. It's the long rod fishing across the bay. Just recently put a few more baits out, another 20 baits on top of the spot, and it's done me a bite. How exciting. Old heart's going, knees are knocking. Don't want to lose this one. Fantastic. Well, it's been a really interesting session. It just shows
Don't arrive in a swim and have too much of a predetermined idea what you're going to do. Be prepared to move. We moved down into this bay, and initially we just started trickling a few baits out. Took the advice of the guys in the shop here at the fishery, and they said 20 or 30 baits should do you a bite, and indeed it did. And then as the winds got up, pushing down into this bay, lovely, we've increased that baiting slightly to maybe 50 or 60 baits over each spot, and the bites have been coming really consistently. As you've seen, Tom's had an absolute hatful of fish. He's been on magic form. What an example of casting. Just fantastic to see that man cast. I've been picking up the scraps, but I've had a few now. Not as many as Tom, but at least I've wet my net. And it's been a really interesting session. Most of the baits that have done the business have been the wafter types, so gently balanced baits, but we've also had a few on straight hook baits on the bottom. Get myself out of a tangle here, get my landing net in place. The old liquid attractors have been very useful to us. They've certainly bought us a few extra bites. I know Tom's a great fan of those, and I've been really schooled in the use of those in this session. But it's been a really productive session. It just goes to show, get on a venue like this, think about what you're doing, be prepared to chop and change, and hopefully the results will come. Oh, there she is, just going over the net. In you go, in you go. Yes, you beauty. Happy days. I don't believe it. Oh, Tom, I've just come down to Tom's swim to tell him I've had a fish to close the show. I've secured it in the landing net. I walked 30 metres down the bank to tell him, and he's only gone and trumped me and had another one. Oh, happy days. Oh, and it's a beauty as well. Wow. Well, that has been a really, really memorable session, hasn't it, Tom? We've had a great time.
It's been lovely, actually, getting out, having a few bites,
yeah,
catching
really
up with you, Si.
Good fun, isn't it? Really good fun.
Sun's out as well.
What? Yeah, just amazing weather to be catching fish in, isn't it? Yes! Hey!
I think that's our last one, mate. Well done.
Great session. Well, there you go. What a fantastic way to end this show. A leathery carp and a scaly one. Tom, have you enjoyed yourself?
Yeah, it's been brilliant, mate. It really has.
Great stuff. A few memorable days. Thank you very much. Well, there you go. For more tackle, tactics and tips from this series, go to thinkingtackle.co.uk. And if you're not sat at home watching Thinking Tackle, you should be out there fishing. Enjoy.